A gold standard is good for the economy. So at the end of my last video, I mentioned that the next video that I do would be, is this the bottom in silver, and how I've been playing this depressed silver price. And I know you guys are keen to hear what I've got to say about that and how I've been playing and taking advantage of this depressed silver price. However, this video isn't that. That video will be out early next week. I've already recorded it. Now, the reason why I'm putting this video up now is because I want to let you guys know about the Noosa Mining Investor Conference, which I'll be attending next week. You can still register to watch it online for free. So whether you're in Australia, New Zealand, the US, Europe, Canada, wherever you're from, if you're interested in Australian mining and exploration companies across all the different metals, gold, silver, base metals, then this is the conference for you. And look, I'm not getting any kickback or anything for promoting this. In fact, I'm just saying, because on this channel, I just like to educate and give you guys all the best content that I do. I'll be at this event. This is my favorite mining conference. If you guys haven't been to Noosa, you really need to attend in person. Noosa is one of my favorite places in the world. So, you know, there are some fantastic miners and explorers that are presenting at this conference. So it is a 3-day conference, and, you know, some of the stocks, some of the companies that are presenting that I may or may not own, not financial advice, you know, companies like Mako Gold, Alto Metals, Hammer Metals, Sunshine Gold, Kalamazoo, which is very interesting right now. And day 2, we got Navarre Minerals, Catalyst Metals, Ramelius Resources, which is also a very interesting one at the moment. Chalice Mining, that's the stock that I bought in 2020 at 17 cents and sold at $4.33. DeGray Mining, who else we got here? Oh, Stavely, they're a very interesting stock at the moment as well. By the way, guys, I'm not giving any financial advice here on mining stocks. And then day 3, I don't hold any of those stocks on day 3. So maybe I'll find a new stock to add to my portfolio on day 3. So I just want to let you guys know that you can tune in and watch this. If you're keen to invest in the mining and exploration space here in Australia, then this is the type of conference you want to register for. And it's free to watch online. Better in person, but free to watch online. So next week, not sure how many videos I'll get out. Maybe I should do a video about from the hotel room and share some of the information on the top stocks from this conference. Maybe, I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if that's what you would like me to do next week. So with that out of the way, I just want to cut now to a clip from PragerU with Steve Forbes talking about inflation and the gold standard.
Inflation isn't new. This man-made disaster has bedeviled civilizations at least since ancient Rome. In order to pay for his extravagant expenses, the first-century Roman Emperor Nero debased the Roman currency, the denarius. How did he do it? By replacing silver, which was valuable, with copper, which was not. And that was just the beginning. Rome's corrupt governments debased the coinage on a regular basis. By the 4th century, the price of wheat was 2 million times higher than it had been in the mid-2nd century. By the 5th century, Rome was finished, overrun not by barbarians, but by inflation. In the 16th century, English King Henry VIII did essentially the same thing with England's coinage to pay for his wars, divorces, and debaucheries. In what became known as the Great Debasement, food prices soared. Ultimately, Henry left it to his daughter, Queen Elizabeth I, to clean things up by issuing new, high-quality coinage, setting the stage for the emergence of England as a great power. The Continental Congress of the American Revolution tried to print its way out of its money problems by paying soldiers with paper money. The first U.S. currency, the Continental dollar, was so overprinted that it became confetti, collapsing into hyperinflationary oblivion. Alexander Hamilton, the first Treasury Secretary, saved the day by linking the U.S. dollar to gold. Figures like Elizabeth I and Alexander Hamilton are rare. These stories usually end up badly. In the 1920s, rampant money printing by the Weimar Republic in Germany led to hyperinflation, economic collapse, and ultimately the rise of Adolf Hitler. Argentina, once the most prosperous country in South America, has never really recovered from its wild money printing in the 1950s. And Zimbabwe, now one of Africa's poorest and most corrupt nations, is infamous for its $100 trillion bill. Look for the source of a society's collapse, and you'll usually find the I word. So what exactly is inflation? There are two types, non-monetary and monetary. When a hurricane slams the Gulf of Mexico, interrupting fuel production, the price of gasoline rises. This is non-monetary inflation. The rise of prices due to some external event. Over time, the market recovers and prices normalize. Monetary inflation is something entirely different. It's the distortion of prices that occurs when money loses value. It's that feeling that something isn't right. Why is my weekly grocery bill, which used to be $100, now $200? Because your money is losing value. It's not that bananas have suddenly become more valuable, it's that your money's become less valuable. This can happen rapidly, as we've seen since 2021, or slowly over time. For example, in 1970, a can of Coke cost a dime, a Big Mac 65 cents. 50 years later, a Big Mac is $5, and you'd be lucky to get a soda out of a vending machine for $2. Obviously, these products haven't changed. It's the dollar that's worth far less. This slow-motion devaluation of the dollar is why young people today can barely make rent, when years ago their parents, who made far fewer dollars, could buy a house. Their dollars were worth much more. If you feel cheated by that, I don't blame you. You have been. So where should your anger be directed? You can start with our 37th president, Richard Nixon. The worst thing he did was not Watergate. It was taking us off the gold standard in 1971, which Alexander Hamilton had put in place 2 centuries prior. This allowed the federal government to print dollars more or less at will. Had the U.S. dollar stayed connected to the gold standard, it's estimated that today's economy would be at least 50% larger than it is. In a universe without inflation, you could buy that house. So what is the dollar's value linked to now, if not gold? Nothing more than faith. The faith that the money you have today will be worth the same tomorrow, next year, and the year after. But it becomes harder and harder to maintain that faith as the U.S. government prints trillions of dollars to pay for its outrageous spending. The most devastating effect of inflation is its impact on social trust. Money, after all, was invented to enable trade between strangers by providing a mutually agreed-upon unit of value. It is a facilitator of trust. Without that trust, trade, social relationships, and life as we know it ultimately unravel. So are we doomed to this fate? No. Just like England wasn't and America wasn't at its founding. We must once again link the dollar to a stable anchor, gold, or some other trustworthy standard. The time to start that debate is now, or we will go the way of Rome, and you can bet your bottom denarius on it. I'm Steve Forbes, co-author of Inflation, What It Is, Why It's Bad, and How to Fix It for Prager University.
So very early on, when I started this channel, I did a couple of videos on inflation. This one, The Cure for Inflation, which was from Henry Hazlitt, who's one of my favorite all-time economists, on how to fight inflation. And the other one I did was Inflation Explained, where we just use the original definition of inflation, the one that the Austrian School of Economics adheres to. And I did these 2 videos very early on, so not many of you guys have watched it. In fact, I did these videos when I had under 100 subscribers from memory. But there's an important part to the inflation story that no one talks about in modern times. Very rarely do I hear people on the inflation-deflation debate, even those proponents of the gold standard and hard money, commodity money, don't really talk about the Cantillon effect. And a lot of people have no idea. They've heard of the Cantillon effect. They've got no idea where the Cantillon effect came from, who it was named after, the theory behind it. Yet it's so important to understand because it's an important part of the inflation story. So what I want to do is just share a short little clip from this video about the Cantillon effect and the background, the theory. And you will have to excuse me for the audio because I did this back when I just had a headset, no microphone. So it's only a short little video. Enjoy.
And that brings us to the Cantillon effect. Now, you've probably heard the Cantillon effect. You've probably heard it pronounced the Cantillon effect. And a lot of people have heard of the Cantillon effect but have no idea where it came from or what it's about. And I highly recommend, so it's basically Richard Cantillon was a French economist in the 18th century who wrote about money and how it circles around the economy. And I definitely recommend reading this book, an essay on economic theory. Richard Cantillon is actually the father of capitalism or free market capitalism. It's not Adam Smith. You can go and Google it right now as you listen to this video. Type in Richard Cantillon, type in Adam Smith, have a look at their life in the period that they lived, and have a look at when Richard Cantillon wrote this book. He lived before Adam Smith. He wrote this book before any of Adam Smith's writings. In fact, if you read this book and then read The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith, you'll actually see that Adam Smith, in some parts, basically word for word copies Richard Cantillon. So that's the Cantillon effect. It is on the back of Richard Cantillon and his theory about how money and how it circles around the economy. So let's have a look at the Cantillon effect. The Cantillon effect refers to the change in relative prices resulting from the uneven expansion of the money supply. If a central bank pumps more money into the economy, the resulting increase in price does not happen evenly. The Austrian economist Friedrich Hayek compared this monetary expansion with honey. If you pour honey into a cup, it won't spread out evenly. It will clump in the middle of the cup first before spreading out. Same with money. The change in relative prices occurs because the change in money supply has a specific injection point and therefore a specific flow path through the economy. The first recipient of the new supply of money is in the convenient position of being able to spend extra dollars before prices have increased. But whoever is last in line receives his share of new dollars after prices have increased. This is why when the Treasury's deficit is monetized, inflation is referred to as a non-legislative tax. In these cases, the government has seized purchasing power, rather than physical bills, from its citizens without congressional approval. The result is a redistribution from the poor to the rich.
So Dr. Bob Murphy did this article, 11 years ago now. I still use it all the time when people have this preconceived idea that the gold standard caused the Great Depression, and if we went on a gold standard, it would be horrible, and you'd be carting around all this heavy gold and blah, 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 blah. So and a lot of people don't read books anymore. So I just share this very simple article with them that Bob Murphy wrote, The Gold Standard Myths and Lies. Now, I'm not going to go through it all in this video because this video will just be a long one and I don't want that. But I'll put a link in the description below, which I just really, really want to encourage you guys. It's not a very long article at all. But I just wanted to highlight this bit in this article. As far as books touting the advantage of the gold standard, yes, indeed, there are volumes written by people with PhDs in economics. The classic text is Ludwig von Mises' The Theory of Money and Credit, which I highly recommend. While a newer, much more reader-friendly section is Murray Rothbard's What Has Government Done to Our Money, which I'll talk about in a second. His own book on the Great Depression exploded the myth that the gold standard had something to do with it. And it's actually a really good book. And but my favorite on the Great Depression is Murray Rothbard's America's Great Depression. So speaking of Rothbard and what has government done to our money, look, this book is only about 49 pages long. I've got several copies that I've given away. Probably one of the most simple books. Like, seriously, buy them. I'm pretty sure if you go to the Mises Institute, their bookstore, you can download an e-version for free. Give it to your kids. I'll put a link in the description below. I'll jump onto the Mises Institute after this, and yeah, I'll put a link in the description below where I'm pretty sure you can get a free e-version PDF copy of this. So anyway, guys, if you like this video, really do appreciate it if you would hit that like button. It helps the algorithms, I'm told. Love to see your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. You know, do you think it would be a good idea to go back to a gold standard? According to Steve Forbes, because of what Nixon did, taking us off the US dollar, the gold window, closing the gold window, as we've lost 50% of economic growth. Our economy could have been 50% bigger. Anyway, interesting conversation. What do you guys think of the Cantillon effect? Have you heard about it before? Did you know much about it? Definitely do some more reading. And once again, I highly recommend reading his book. You know, I just recommend these things. I don't tell people what to do. You know, that's what I do on this channel. Just share with you guys what I do, what I'm reading, what I've learnt, and I share my opinion. I don't give financial advice any which way. Anyway, guys, take care. I'll see you all again on another episode of Finance Uncut. And just a reminder, the information provided in this video is for education and entertainment purposes only. Nothing on this channel constitutes as financial advice. The information in this presentation is no substitute for financial advice, and all investors should seek advice from a licensed financial advisor having regard to your own objectives, financial situation, and needs.